Two people get paid on the same Friday. Same city, similar jobs, nearly identical salaries. The first person sees the direct deposit hit their account and immediately feels a wave of relief. Not excitement, relief. Because they've been mentally holding their breath for 2 weeks, juggling which bills to pay first, calculating whether they can afford groceries and gas in the same week, quietly hoping nothing unexpected breaks before the next paycheck arrives. Within 72 hours, that paycheck is scattered across a dozen expenses, some planned, most reactive. By Tuesday, they check their account and that familiar sinking feeling returns. The money is practically gone and they can't even explain where it went. The second person sees the same direct deposit notification, but their reaction is completely different. They don't feel relief because they were never stressed. They spend about 15 minutes executing a system they followed for years. Money moves automatically into specific accounts for specific purposes. Bills are handled, savings grow, investments compound, and there's still money left over for whatever they actually want to spend on, guilt-free. By Tuesday, they don't check their account with anxiety, they check it with curiosity, watching a system build wealth on autopilot. Same paycheck, same city, same Friday. One person is drowning, the other is building an empire. The difference isn't income, it's what happens in the first 24 hours after that direct deposit lands. Most people treat payday like a random event. Money shows up, money disappears, and somehow 2 weeks later they're waiting for the next one. But wealthy people treat payday like a strategic operation. Every dollar has a mission before it even arrives. And today, I'm going to hand you the exact step-by-step system that turns every single paycheck into a wealth-building machine, regardless of how much you earn. This isn't theory. This isn't some vague advice about spending less and saving more. This is the exact sequence of moves you should execute every single time money hits your account in 2026. Let's start with what you need to do before payday even arrives. Step 0. Know your numbers before the money lands. Most people have no idea what their actual take-home pay is. They know their salary, sure, but they've never sat down and calculated exactly how much hits their account after taxes, insurance, retirement contributions, and every other deduction their employer pulls out before they ever see a dollar. This is the first problem. You're making financial plans based on a number you don't actually receive. If your salary is $65,000, you're not getting $65,000. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, health insurance, and maybe a 401k contribution, you're probably taking home somewhere around $3,600 to $4,000 per month, depending on your state and deductions. That's your real number. That's the number your entire financial life runs on. So before your next paycheck arrives, I need you to pull up your last pay stub and write down your exact net pay. Not your gross, not your salary, the actual dollars that land in your checking account. Every step that follows depends on knowing this number precisely, not approximately, precisely. Now let's walk through what happens the moment that money arrives. Step 1, pay yourself first, not last, not with whatever's left over, first. This is the single most important financial habit you will ever develop, and almost nobody does it correctly. Here's what most people do. They get paid, they pay their bills, they spend on whatever comes up during the week, and then at the end of the month, they look at what's left and maybe, if they're lucky, they throw a little bit into savings. The problem with this approach is that there's never anything left. Expenses are like a gas. They expand to fill whatever container you give them. If you have $4,000 in your checking account, your life will find a way to cost $4,000. But if you move $800 to savings and investments before you do anything else, your life will magically find a way to cost $3,200 instead. You won't starve. You won't miss it as much as you think. Your spending simply adjusts to what's available. The wealthy understand this principle deeply. They don't save what's left after spending. They spend what's left after saving. Those two sentences sound similar, but they produce radically different financial outcomes over a lifetime. The first approach typically results in saving nothing. The second approach builds 6- and 7-figure portfolios. So the moment your paycheck lands, before you buy anything, before you browse Amazon, before you tap your card at Starbucks, a predetermined percentage moves out of your checking account immediately. Where does it go? That brings us to step 2. Step 2. Split your pay into 4 buckets. Not one checking account holding everything, not a savings account you dip into whenever something shiny catches your eye. 4 separate, clearly defined buckets, each with a specific job. Bucket 1 is your bills account. This covers every fixed monthly expense: rent or mortgage, car payment, insurance, utilities, phone bill, subscriptions, student loans, anything that shows up every single month for a predictable amount. Calculate the total of all your fixed monthly expenses and have exactly that amount transferred to this account or kept in your checking specifically for these payments. For most people, this represents about 50 to 60% of take-home pay. If it's more than 60%, that's a major warning sign that your fixed expenses are consuming too much of your income, and you need to address that before anything else will work. Bucket 2 is your wealth account. This is the money that builds your future. It covers retirement contributions beyond what your employer deducts, investment account deposits, and any additional wealth-building activity. This bucket should receive a minimum of 20% of your take-home pay. I know, 20% sounds aggressive if you've never saved consistently before. If you can't do 20% right now, start with 10%, even 5%. But start, because here's the math that should keep you up at night. Someone who invests $400 per month starting at 25 with an average 8% return will have approximately $1.4 million by 65. Someone who waits until 35 to start investing the same $400 per month will have roughly $590,000 by 65. That 10-year delay costs over $800,000 in wealth. The money you invest today is the most powerful money you'll ever invest because it has the most time to compound. Every paycheck you skip is compound interest you'll never get back. Bucket 3 is your emergency buffer. This is not savings for a vacation. This is not savings for a new laptop. This is money that exists exclusively to prevent financial catastrophe, job loss, medical emergency, car breakdown, the moments in life that can spiral into debt if you don't have cash available to absorb them. Your emergency buffer should hold 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. If your monthly essentials cost $3,000, your target is $9,000 to $18,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account, earning 4 to 5% interest while it waits. If you haven't built this buffer yet, this bucket gets priority over bucket 2 temporarily. I know I just said investing is critical, and it is, but investing while you have zero emergency savings is like building a house with no foundation. One unexpected expense and the whole thing collapses. Once your emergency fund is fully funded, the money that was flowing here gets redirected to bucket 2, accelerating your wealth building. Bucket 4 is your guilt-free spending account. This is the money for everything else: food, entertainment, clothing, hobbies, dining out, that random purchase that makes your Tuesday slightly better. This is your life money. And here's what's beautiful about this system. Because you've already handled bills, investing, and emergencies, every single dollar in this bucket is yours to spend with absolute zero guilt. Want to buy an expensive coffee? Go ahead. Your investments are already funded. Want to eat out 3 times this week? No problem. Your emergency fund is already built. Want to buy something completely unnecessary that just makes you happy? Do it. Your financial obligations are already met. Most people feel guilty about every purchase because subconsciously they know they should be saving or investing that money instead. This system eliminates that guilt entirely because the important stuff is already handled. You've earned the right to enjoy what remains. Step 3. Automate everything so discipline becomes irrelevant. Here's a truth about human behavior that most financial advice completely ignores. Willpower is a terrible long-term financial strategy. You might have the discipline to manually transfer money to savings this month, maybe even next month. But 6 months from now, when you're tired, stressed, and that new phone is calling your name, willpower will fail you. It always does. The solution isn't more discipline. It's removing the need for discipline entirely. Set up automatic transfers that execute on payday without any action from you. Your bills account gets funded automatically. Your wealth account receives its percentage automatically. Your emergency buffer grows automatically. By the time you see your checking balance, the only money visible is your guilt-free spending money. You literally cannot overspend on bills or undersave for the future because the system handles it before you have the chance to make a bad decision. This is how wealthy people manage money. They don't rely on making perfect decisions every single day. They build systems that make the right decisions for them. The 30 minutes you spend setting up these automatic transfers will generate more wealth over your lifetime than any individual financial decision you'll ever make. Step 4. Attack your debt with a specific strategy. If you're carrying high-interest debt, particularly credit card debt, your paycheck routine needs an additional step. After your 4 buckets are funded, any remaining margin should target your highest interest debt aggressively. Credit card interest rates in 2026 are averaging 24 to 28%. Let me put that in perspective. If you have $5,000 in credit card debt at 25% interest and you're only making minimum payments, you'll pay over $3,800 in interest alone before that debt disappears. You'll end up paying nearly $8,800 total for that original $5,000 purchase. The bank makes more money from your debt than you spent on whatever you bought. That's not a financial product. That's a wealth extraction machine pointed directly at your wallet. The paycheck routine fixes this by allocating a specific, predetermined dollar amount toward debt elimination every single payday. Not whatever feels right, not whatever's left over, a specific amount that you've calculated based on your target payoff date. Here's the strategy. List every debt you have. Order them by interest rate from highest to lowest. Pay minimums on everything except the highest interest debt. Throw every extra dollar at that top debt until it's eliminated. Then take the entire payment amount from that eliminated debt and add it to the minimum payment of the next highest debt. This creates a snowball of increasing payments that accelerates as each debt disappears. Someone with $15,000 in mixed debt who follows the system aggressively can typically become debt-free 3 to 7 years faster than someone making minimum payments. That's years of your life reclaimed from paying interest to banks. Step 5. Run a 10-minute money audit every payday. This takes 10 minutes, not an hour, not a weekend deep dive into spreadsheets. 10 minutes every time you get paid. Pull up your spending from the last 2 weeks. You don't need a fancy app for this. Your bank's transaction history works fine. Scan through and categorize your spending mentally. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, was there any spending in the last 2 weeks that I genuinely regret? Not spending that felt indulgent, spending that felt wasteful. The difference matters. A nice dinner with friends might feel indulgent, but it added genuine value to your life. A random Amazon purchase you've already forgotten about is wasteful. Second, did any category of spending surprise me with how high it was? Most people are shocked when they actually look at what they spend on food delivery, subscriptions, or small daily purchases that individually seem harmless, but collectively drain hundreds per month. Third, is there one adjustment I can make in the next 2 weeks to improve? Just one, not a complete financial overhaul. One small adjustment. Maybe you cancel a subscription you forgot about. Maybe you meal prep twice next week instead of ordering delivery. Maybe you wait 24 hours before any non-essential purchase. These 10-minute audits compound over time. Someone who runs 26 of these audits per year, once per paycheck, typically identifies $2,000 to $5,000 in annual savings they never would have noticed otherwise. That's $5,000 that could be invested, compounding for decades, all from 10 minutes of attention every 2 weeks. Step 6. Protect your paycheck from lifestyle creep. Here's something that will happen if you follow the system successfully. Your financial stress will decrease, your savings will grow, your investments will compound. And then something dangerous will happen. You'll start feeling like you can afford more. Maybe a nicer apartment, a newer car, more expensive restaurants, premium everything. This is lifestyle creep, and it's the silent killer of wealth building. It doesn't feel destructive because each individual upgrade seems reasonable and affordable. But collectively, these upgrades consume every dollar of financial progress you've made. I've seen people double their income over 5 years and end up in a worse financial position than when they started because their lifestyle tripled. The paycheck routine protects against this by locking in your percentages, not your dollar amounts. When you get a raise, your buckets grow proportionally. If you were investing 20% of a $4,000 paycheck, you invest 20% of your new $4,500 paycheck. The dollars increase, but the system stays identical. This means every raise automatically accelerates your wealth building without requiring any additional discipline or decision making. The system captures the increase before lifestyle creep can consume it. Now, let me show you what this looks like in real life over time. Meet Marcus. Marcus is 28 years old, earning $55,000 per year. His take-home pay is approximately $3,500 per month, paid bi-weekly at $1,750 per paycheck. Before discovering the paycheck routine, Marcus was the first person I described at the beginning. Payday felt like temporary relief. Money came in, money vanished, and he couldn't explain the gap. His savings account held $600. His credit card balance hovered around $4,200. He felt stuck. Marcus implemented the paycheck routine at 28. Every payday, his $1,750 split automatically. $960 to bills, which is roughly 55%, $260 to his wealth account, which is 15%. He couldn't do 20% yet because of debt. $175 to his emergency buffer, which is 10%. $200 toward credit card debt aggressively. $155 to guilt-free spending. That spending number felt painfully small at first, but Marcus noticed something surprising. Because his bills and savings were handled automatically, he actually stressed less about money despite having less spending cash. The anxiety of financial chaos was more expensive emotionally than the reduction in discretionary spending. Within 8 months, Marcus paid off his credit card completely. That $200 monthly debt payment immediately redirected to his wealth account, bringing his investment rate to 26% of take-home pay. Within 14 months, his emergency fund hit $5,000, enough for nearly 2 months of expenses. Within 3 years, Marcus had $32,000 in investments, $8,500 in emergency savings, zero debt, and something he'd never experienced before in his adult life: complete financial calm. His income barely changed during those 3 years. He got one modest raise. The transformation wasn't about earning more. It was entirely about what happened to each paycheck in those first 24 hours. Now compare Marcus to his coworker Devin. Devin earns $62,000, nearly $7,000 more than Marcus. Devin doesn't follow any system. Devin's paycheck lands and gets absorbed by whatever feels urgent that week. 3 years later, Devin has $1,200 in savings, $6,800 in credit card debt, and the same financial anxiety he's carried for years. Devin earns more, but has less. Marcus earns less, but builds more. The difference is 15 minutes of intentional action on payday. Let me leave you with this. There are roughly 26 paychecks in a year. That's 26 opportunities to build wealth, or 26 opportunities to wonder where your money went. Most people will get paid over 1,000 times in their working life. 1,000 paychecks. If each one passes through your hands without a system, that's potentially millions of dollars flowing in and flowing right back out with nothing to show for it. But if each paycheck hits a system that automatically protects your future, eliminates your debt, builds your safety net, and still lets you enjoy your life without guilt, those same 1,000 paychecks build something extraordinary. The person I described at the beginning, the one who checks their account with calm confidence, the one whose money works on autopilot, the one who never panics about unexpected expenses, that person doesn't earn more than you. They don't have a secret. They don't have wealthy parents or a finance degree. They just built a system and followed it every single payday. You now have that system. The only question is whether your next paycheck will be the one that changes everything or just another one that disappears. 26 paychecks a year, 1,000 in a career. Every single one is a chance to build the life you actually want. Don't waste the next one.